Hi, my dear students. I'm happy to be with you. I'm Omar Abdelghani. Today we are going to talk about Raymond's Run. But before we start to talk about the story itself, let's say something about the author. So, of course, you know the story is written by Toni Cade Bambara. We are going to talk about some information about her. We are going to talk about her study, her birth, also we are going to talk about her name, her works of art, her death, awards, and jobs. What do you know about her? What do you know about the author, Toni Cade Bambara? Toni Cade Bambara was an African American author. She was born in New York City in 1939. At the age of 6, she changed her name from Miltona to Toni, and then in 1970 changed her name to include the name of a West African ethnic group, Bambara. Bambara attended Queens College in 1954. At first, she planned to become a doctor, but her passion for arts directed her to become an English major. She graduated from Queens College with a BA in Theatre Arts English Literature in 1959. Her works of art, some of her famous short stories are The Lesson, Raymond's Run, Blues Ain't No Mockingbird, and A Girl's Story. Her jobs. She was a documentary filmmaker. She was also a social activist and a college professor. She got the American Book Award. She died in 1995 in Pennsylvania in the United States of America. And now the story. What's the setting of the short story Raymond's Run? Of course, you know the setting. When I mention the setting, we know or we mean that the setting is the time and the place. Raymond's Run is set in Harlem in New York. The setting of the story is important, of course. This is the story of a young girl attending a May Day race. We know that the story takes place in Harlem, a neighborhood in New York City in the late 60s. The plot of the story. Raymond's Run is a short story by Toni Cade Bambara. It's narrated by Hazel Parker, known as Squeaky, whose strong voice lures the reader in immediately. The central idea in the short story is about how she has to take care of her older brother Raymond. As we told you, she has a disabled brother. Her brother needs some kind of care, so she takes care of her older brother Raymond because he is disabled. The pivotal moment in the end shows Squeaky learning to be less self-centered by giving up her competitive running in order to start training Raymond for running. This happens after she wins a May Day race and has a moment of realization, noticing Raymond mimicking her running. Mimicking her running, we mean that she is imitating her running. He runs in the same way as she runs. The story takes place in Harlem, and Squeaky mentions the setting 2 times in contrast to the country where she used to live. First, Squeaky is waiting for the race and narrates, "I'm on my back, looking at the sky, trying to pretend I am in the country, but I can't, because even grass in the city feels hard as sidewalk, and there is just no pretending you are anywhere but in a concrete jungle, as my grandfather says." This moment shows there is no escaping the physical reality of her sitting. Also, second, while Squeaky is running, she narrates, I always feel like I'm in a dream, the kind of dream you have when you are sick with fever and hot and weightless. I dream I'm flying over a sandy beach in the early morning sun, kissing the leaves of apples, just like in the country when I was little. Running for Squeaky transports her to a world of sandy beaches, apples, and a country, a setting entirely different from Harlem. This emphasizes for readers how running allows Squeaky to imagine herself anywhere, even a place she no longer lives, when she is engaged in an activity that defines her identity. So this means that she likes running so much. It also emphasizes her sacrifice when she does make her decision to give it up for Raymond, but suggests that reaching for a goal greater than herself is motivating as well. So, now, what about the theme of the story? What's the theme of Raymond's Run? The universal theme of the short story Raymond's Run by Tony K. Bambara is finding your identity so that you can respect yourself and others. Hazel Elizabeth Deborah Parker, also known as Squeaky, is the protagonist in the short story. She is a young school-aged girl who bases her whole identity on her athletic prowess as the fastest runner and one of the toughest girls in her Harlem neighborhood. She practices her running and breathing day in and day out while she tends to her disabled brother. So she finds herself only in running. She is different from other girls. She doesn't like dancing, she doesn't like dresses, but she likes running so much. The characters of the short story, Raymond's Run, we have the main character, Hazel Parker, or Squeaky, right? Her brother, Raymond Parker. Her other brother, George Parker. We know that George and Raymond are older than her. George is the eldest in the family. Raymond is older than Hazel, right? But she takes care of him because he was disabled. And we have also Squeaky's father and mother. What about her classmates or schoolmates? We have Gretchen P. Lewis. By the way, Hazel or Squeaky considers her enemy. We have also Mary Louise, Rosie. They were the sidekicks of Gretchen. We have Cynthia Proctor, the one who behaves in a strange way, in a way that Squeaky doesn't like, because Cynthia Proctor wants people to think that she never cares about studying, but she studies hard. And Mr. Pearson, one of the responsible for the day race. Characters analysis. We are going to talk only about Hazel. Hazel Elizabeth Deborah Parker is a skinny girl with a squeaky voice, which earned her the nickname Squeaky. She is the youngest child in her family, but her parents have charged her with looking after her older brother Raymond, who has a disability. Hazel defends Raymond against anyone who tries to make fun of him and keeps him with her as she trains as a runner. Running is the most important part of Hazel's life. Hazel takes pride in her excellence in running. For this reason, she confronts her rival Gretchen as an enemy. When she meets her on the street, she also rejects Mr. Pearson's suggestion that she tone down her brilliance. Hazel only realizes her pride when she finds respect for Gretchen and Raymond as they almost beat her in the race. In the moment, Hazel realizes that She could be friends with Gretchen and a coach as well as a self-entered caretaker to Raymond. So I mean that at the end of the story, she wants to be the coach of her brother because she discovered that he is also a fast runner like her. So now we come to the end of our session for today, hoping to meet you again. Thank you, my dear students. Goodbye.